Every year, the trade deadline is a time of distraction.
News has been breaking.
Might take on some salary
trade bait.
Rumors.
Reports out there on Twitter.
Would he waive his no trade?
Was too hefty of a price.
Speculation.
Difficult moves to make.
No trade clause.
Restricted free agent.
Spreading a cloud of white noise over the action on the ice. But now, it's all over. From this point forward, the focus of the hockey world is clear. Talks of draft picks, cap hits are put aside until summer. Tonight features two clubs who took opposite approaches to the trading frenzy. After throwing down the gauntlet with a February blockbuster, the Jets kept on dealing, bolstering their roster for a stretch run.
Meyer shoots, he scores!
Meanwhile, a quiet deadline means no reinforcements in the nation's capital, but the Sens' existing roster has willed its way back into the playoff chase.
The Carlson Bucky scores!
The deadline has passed. Now the finish line fast approaches. A view from across Portage Avenue. If you continue east, it'll take you down to the Forks, appropriate destination for tonight's two participants on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. Under 20 to go. Which direction will they end up? And which path will they take? Darren Millard here on the Hockey Central balcony. You know, heights can provide perspective. For example, the Winnipeg Jets' rise prompted General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff to go out and make 5 trades in order to get into the playoffs. Ottawa stood firm, sticking to the plan, each with their own individual evaluations. The panel standing by, but first, Scott Oake at the MTS Center in Winnipeg. Scott?
Darren, with 18 games to go, the Jets have some work to do to clinch a playoff spot, but I can tell you their fans fully anticipate one, so there'll be pressure on the Jets in every game until or if they clinch. Even greater pressure on the Ottawa Senators tonight as they have to find a way to take the opportunity of moving to within 4 points of the final wild card spot in the East. They're all about the Hamburglar. Andrew Hammond was in fact not scheduled to start tonight, but apparently the bruised hand that's kept Craig Anderson out for 6 weeks is continuing to bother him. He will back up Hammond tonight, but it's Hammond who gets the start. The Sens will have one change. Colin Greening's in for Matt Pumpel, and the Jets will go with Michael Hutchinson in goal. He's got points in his last 8 appearances for the Jets. He's clearly #1 here now, and they'll welcome their latest acquisition, Lee Stempniak, to their lineup. He'll be in a line with Adam Lowry and Blake Wheeler. Darren.
Home game for Scott Oake tonight, along with Doug MacLean here at Hockey Central, Nick Kypreos and Darren Pang. For the first time in the 4 years that the Jets have been back in Winnipeg, this is really Kevin Cheveldayoff's team.
Yeah, and you'll feel it every time you see Tyler Myers out on the ice tonight, and it's just not the half a dozen points that he's provided already or the 23 minutes that he averages. It's just his presence on the ice and how confident he is, and something that lacked in the latter part of his Buffalo Sabre career, but this guy has taken it to another level. And Jet fans are real happy about that.
I think they're happy about Toulouse line, too. Toulouse and Stafford, new to the Winnipeg Jets, and their center iceman, Mark Scheifele, have played very, very well. And to see Lee Stempniak on that third line with Lowry, I think this is a pretty solid top 9.
Interesting to watch Hammond tonight. Obviously, Anderson was supposed to start, according to the coach, and all of a sudden, he's back in. I mean, when does fatigue set in? He's been terrific. It's been a tough schedule for him, back-to-back. How does he handle it? All eyes on him, too.
Winnipeg Jets' big concern right now is guarding against overconfidence because the city's really caught the buzz. They feel that they're in the playoffs for sure, but they've been close the last few years. 3 years back in Winnipeg, first time Jets had a 1-point lead with 18 to go, missed the playoffs. 2-point lead the next year, missed the playoffs. 3 points out last year, unable to finish it off. Will this be the year? The Jets have a cushion on a playoff berth on 3 clubs, but lose the tiebreaker to them all. Ottawa playing its game in hand on Boston, trying to get within 4. Scott Oake in Winnipeg.
Thank you, Darren. MTS Center in downtown Winnipeg is about a 15-minute drive from 17 Wing in St. James. There is a strong relationship between the Jets and the Canadian military. You may recall the Jets logo was inspired by the Royal Canadian Air Force and unveiled at 17 Wing in September of 2011. Which leads us to this. It's Canadian Forces Appreciation Night at NTS Centre, and PA announcer Jay Richardson will take us through the ceremony.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second annual Winnipeg Jets Canadian Armed Forces Appreciation Night, saluting the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces. The Winnipeg Jets would like to recognize the dedication of all the soldiers that serve and protect our country. Tonight, with the help of donation from season seat holders and the Winnipeg Jets, we're pleased to welcome over 600 Canadian Forces personnel and their families to tonight's game. On behalf of all Canadians watching across the country, we salute your efforts and thank you for protecting our freedoms. Ladies and gentlemen, please now welcome Winnipeg Jets Chairman and Governor Mark Chipman to center ice for a special presentation. Joining Mark at center ice for tonight's pregame ceremony is an ex-CF-18 fighter pilot with over 40 years in the Canadian Armed Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're honored to welcome the Chief of the Defense Staff, General Tom Lawson. Tonight, the Winnipeg Jets True North Foundation is thrilled to present a check in the amount of $100,000 to General Lawson, who will accept on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces. These funds will be used to support three important Canadian Armed Forces initiatives: the Military Families Fund, the Soldier On Fund, and the Air Force Heritage Fund. We're thrilled to support these three initiatives, along with saluting the brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces. Tonight, we'd also like to recognize the dedication and bravery of the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces search and rescue teams who risk their lives to save others. Sadly, a few weeks ago, one of their members, Sergeant Mark Celeste, lost his life while conducting an ice climbing exercise. Tonight, in memory of his life, we'll honor two members from his Winnipeg Search and Rescue Squadron. Please welcome a pilot who served at 17 Wing Winnipeg and has also done a tour in Afghanistan in support of air operations. He's been the aircraft commander for a number of challenging rescues, including last August when he and his crew were tasked to northern Quebec to save a seriously injured scientist. Please welcome Captain Nick Haler. Also, from right here in Winnipeg, he's a search and rescue technician at 17 Wing, where he's participated in several rescue operations. His most recent one was February 5th of this year, when he was part of the crew that rescued two Inuit men stranded on the east coast of Hudson Bay. Please welcome Master Corporal Reagan Kruger. Would Senators Captain Erik Karlsson and Jets Captain Andrew Ladd please skate to center ice for tonight's ceremonial face-off? for the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome Canadian Armed Forces anthem singer Sergeant David Grenall with the Royal Canadian Air Force Band, alongside the flag party from Her Majesty's Canadian ship Chippewa for the singing of O Canada. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Et ta valeur de foi trempée,
So we're set for the Jets and Ottawa Senators. Both have been piling up the points, so the momentum of one will be slowed down tonight, unless this turns into a three-point game, and we would not rule that out. Dave Randorf and Gary Galley are in the broadcast booth. Dave.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. A great ceremony here tonight in Winnipeg. And now the main event, an all-Canadian matchup. Two teams with playoff dreams. One on the top 8 already on the inside, the other one trying to fight its way in. The Ottawa Senators come in hot, and this guy's a big reason why. 27-year-old Andrew Hammond. They call him a hamburger, and right now he's stealing games and the hearts of Sens fans as they are thinking about the playoffs. Down at the other end, you got 25-year-old Michael Hutchinson. Just celebrated his birthday on Monday, and he has taken over the top spot between the pikes for the Jets. He'll make his 5th consecutive start tonight. Lee Stempniak making his Winnipeg Jet debut, his 7th NHL team, the 3rd time in the last 5 years he's been dealt at the deadline, and he joins this moving train that is the Winnipeg Jets trying to secure a playoff spot. 2 big points on the line tonight. Gord Dwyer and Tom Cowell are your referees. Shandor Alfonso and Brian Mock are the linesmen. The Winnipeg Jets played last Sunday here in this building, a 5-2 win over the LA Kings. The Senators lost last night in Minnesota, a 3-2 shootout loss, and it turned into a real barn burner. Here is Stempniak trying to get in there against Graba, who rubs him out along the Senators bench, and it's taken back by Colin Green, who's back in the lineup tonight for Ottawa. Hutchinson stops the puck by his net, goes into the corner. Chiasson is there, and it goes in behind the goal. Greening. Up front there with David Legwand. It's taken away by Winnipeg. Stempniak just gets outside the line, and here comes Blake Wheeler. Wheeler with a cross-ice feed to Trouba in front of him. And down makes his first stop of the night. Pass out in front of the goal. Comes to the near boards. Chopped out there by Toby Enstrom. And sent back up the boards. Waiting for it is Chiasson. He gets it down the ice. Here is Little. Back and forth with Enstrom. He goes across to his new partner these days, Tyler Myers. Recently acquired from Buffalo Sabres, and a loving life now in a heated playoff race. Andrew Ladd, the captain, and their leading scorer, sends it around the boards. And Ottawa takes over from there. Pass up to the speedster. Hoffman, sharp angle shot, and it's handled by Hutchinson, who hangs on.
Well, we know one thing, that both these teams have been successful, and they're both successful when they're playing a little more physical, staying on top of the body. And here we're going to see even the linesmen get involved as a collision with Gryba and Stepniak drives him into the Senator bench. And then Lowry comes across, and he's been finishing everything that's been moving as he leads the Winnipeg Jets in hits, and he finished off his hit on Chasson.
7 hits for Lowry on Sunday against a physical LA Kings team, Gary.
They're built to be big and play in the West, and Paul Maurice loves the, like I said, the heaviness of this lineup, especially on the back end. And if you want to make it work, be physical against your opponent, especially a team that played last night and got in last night, like the Ottawa Senators playing in a tough game against Minnesota.
Sent in there by Marco Saul. Savannah goes crashing in there. Scheifele taking forwards, along with Jay Harrison, number 23 for the Jets. One of the earlier acquisitions by Kevin Cheveldayoff. Here's Yuri Tlusty, wears number 91 with his new team. Ahead to Drew Stafford. Stafford in, put it in front. Not a great shot, but a save made by Hammond, and then it's cleared down the ice.
Such a smart player, Stafford. You know, for years in Buffalo, he's one of those guys, when he gets in close like there, he's got really good creativity. Nice little play across, and just couldn't finish it off.
Dustin Buckland with a cross-ice feed, looking for Ladd, bounces off his stick, and there's Weirkoch heading into the corner for it. Cody Ceci picks it up, and Eric Stone. Stone at the blue line, trying to feed it in the middle, was looking for Turks, and that didn't work. Here against him now, and that is offside of the Winnipeg blue line.
Nice little transition in the neutral zone for the Winnipeg Jets, and a great opportunity at the net that Hammond had to be sharp on. And up tight, press it, and there's Hoffman covering right there for Carlson, but it catches him on the bank off the wall. And that ends up coming right in on the 2-on-1. A nice little jam on the brakes and slide it across to Scheifele, and he just didn't get a lot of wood on it.
Scheifele comes into the night on a 4-game point streak with a couple goals and 3 assists, just missing there. Off the board. Trouba meets it and keeps it in. Just a down low to Jim Slater. And it sneaks down into the board there against Weirkoch. Curtis Lazar can't get it into the zone, and now racing after that puck into the corner is Slater. Banks it back for Peluso. His drive goes off of Thorburn, and then it rolls almost out in front. Pajot to the sideboard, Slater back towards the net, and Hammond makes the save and hangs on for the faceoff to his right.
One of the things the Winnipeg Jets want to do is they want to get into the face of Hammond. And this is goalie contact by Peluso. I don't know if the referee missed it. He cuts right through, he's not shoved in, and he runs right into Hammond. This is deliberately going through the crease. You know where you are on the ice. Referee doesn't make the call, and that's a head collision that catches Hammond, and he had to shake that off. You want to get in that goalie's grill. You know he's been the main reason why this team has been winning. Get in and get him rattled.
Well, you're right. You got to do something to cool this guy off.
There's got to be a call there. I mean, there was no reason for him to be in there.
Harrison at the line, and that wrist shot handled by Hammond. Here's another look from the LASIK net cam. Gary?
Again, there are times when a player gets pushed in or he has nowhere to go and he runs into it. This is Peluso losing his place on the ice, and then when he cuts through, he runs right through him. And I get maybe he didn't try to hit him in the head. It wasn't on purpose, but at the end of the day, he doesn't avoid him. He runs right into him. He makes contact. It's got to be a call, but the Senators will have to live with it, and Hammond looks like it's fine.
Hammond was named first star of the week in the NHL. An emergency call-up when they ran into injury troubles with both Anderson and Robin Leonard. Not quite ready to go. Anderson's backing Hammond up tonight, as you heard in our pregame show. Back up to center ice. Mark Borowiecki sends it right back in, and here is Hutchinson. Hutchinson handles the puck, got it to Harrison, and the Jets are away to center ice. Stepniak chips it ahead, looking for Lowry, and Legwand takes over from there, going across to Mark Mathot. Mathot was not able to play this season until December due to back troubles, and that pops up and out of play. Here's a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Tim Hortons.
Well, the keys to the game are for the Ottawa Senators: clean exits. The Winnipeg Jets like to get on the forecheck, get in on your hard. If you can get those clean exits and not spend time in your end, it's going to be a real positive. And offensive net presence. This is a goaltender that hasn't had a lot of games in the National Hockey League. He's been kind of running the table here. Get those bodies in front of him, make the game difficult for him. We already saw Peluso run into him once already.
Carlson hard around the boards, and it pops out to center ice. Myers is back to get it. And he has it poked away from him inside the Jets blue line. Tyler Myers now skates it away, and now that pass goes up to Ladd and into the zone. Here's Michael Foley putting the pressure on McGrath, who has his stick chopped out of his hands there. And the puck bounces around, held there by Winnipeg. Quick shot on Hammond, down and making the save there on Foley. Here's Ladd looking for Little. Hoffman now. Ottawa's leading goal scorer got it out to center ice. Toby Enstrom backs up, long repass looking for Ladd. Ladd at center, hammers that puck in around the boards. And picked up by Scheifele. His drive, and again makes the stop. The shots early on here are 6-1 Winnipeg.
Well, we knew Winnipeg would come out of the gate. They know they're playing a team that got in late last night. Ferlik knocks the stick out of the hands of Mark Mafat, and his partner, Erik Karlsson, comes over and saves the day. They get a shot off it, but Hammond's tracked it pretty good right there. 8 goals against in the last 6 games Hammond's played. That's the lowest stretch of the entire year for the Ottawa Senators in a 6-game span of goals allowed.
36 saves last night. And right back to work tonight. Here's Scheifele now. Puts it up the boards. Stone battles for it. Gets it out to center ice looking for McCarlick. And now here's Turris with a step. Carl Turris post and in. And the Ottawa Senators open the scoring here in Winnipeg.
From February 5th to February 25th, Kyle Turris notched 6 of his 15 goals. He was on fire. He's kind of cooled off a bit, and this is going to go a long way for him. It's great strength on the boards by Stone, and he gets it into the middle of the ice, although it doesn't go to the destination he was intending it for. Good on the Senators to support it, get the puck outside to Turris, and this is a right-hand shot coming down his off wing. The Mark Messier leg kick on the outside, and that is posted in, and as they would say, it's a goal in any league. As you have to beat goalies this good, is find that posted in, and he did exactly that. The Ottawa Senators strike first. As you mentioned, they're getting outshot 6-2, but lead 1-0.
And Kyle Turris, one of the hot sticks in this lineup right now. That is his 7th goal in his last 13 games. And they're back to work in the offensive zone out of the corner. Condra puts it back to line for Borowiecki.
You feel good because you know Hammond's not allowing a lot of goals. So when you get him some goal support like this, it goes a long way for Hammond and the way the Senators are going to mentally approach this game from now on.
Slater fires it in. Hammond out of his net, stops it up. And he'll leave it there for Mark Borowiecki. 6 minutes into the first period, and Kyle Turris has scored kind of against the flow of play. And the Sens have that all-important first goal. This one goes all the way down the ice, where it will be icing against Ottawa.
Well, they know they're coming in, and it's a tough setup for them. The coach, Dave Cameron, knows it's a tough setup, but you can't afford to feel sorry for yourself when you're fighting to get back into the playoffs. So this team has been playing marvelously, and here we look at that perfect shot from Kyle Turris. There is just no room for excuses on a nice play coming out of the middle by Cody Ceci. And again, him following the play up is what made the play happen, because Stone's play kind of got interrupted. It hit somebody on the skate, and it was Ceci who was tight to the play, and good support was able to keep the play alive and let his partner Turris finish it off.
Ceci with the 1 assist, you should say. Milan McCulloch with the other assist at 4:59. And what a road trip this has been for Ottawa. Here's Wheeler towards the net, and once again Hammond stops it, and there is no rebound.
Well, Hammond has got that comfortable feeling in the net now. He's played now in 7 games. He came in relief in 1, and now he's won 5, and last night in the shootout dropped 1. But what I really like about his game is it's quiet. It's quiet. It's not a lot of moving parts, but he does have athleticism, and we've seen some great saves by him, but he's absorbing all the shots. There's not a lot of loose pucks falling around him, and that's been a real plus.
Stempniak trying to take that puck off the draw. It's controlled by Leglock. On his backhand, puts it to center. And then in. Dustin Buckland cycles it back. Spins it up the boards. Stempniak waiting for it. Almost had Wheeler on the move, and here they come. Wheeler at the blue line steps in. Back into traffic for Lowry, and he was covered. Back the other way is Colin Greening with Leglock. Greening in along the inboards against Harrison. Greening strips Stempniak of the puck. Here's Bobby Ryan, who scored last night. Carlson puts a shot in there, wide of the mark, and it bounces all the way to the opposite point for McCaw. Buffett makes one little move, but there is Ryan, who appeared to get a stick up high, and he is slowly making his way back towards the Ottawa bench. Now he's going to stay up there for now. Now he's going back. Long back pass, handled by Wheeler. Shovels it in on his backhand, and Hammond will stop it behind the net. Here's Myers back there to retrieve the puck in his own zone. Tyler Myers forced by Stone, and Hopkins there as well. Oh, he almost fed it into Stone right in front of the net. Good forechecking by Stone and Hoffman. And now the back door, here comes Milan McCulloch. Turris behind the net. Just under the reach of McCulloch. Wilcox loads and fires, and then hits a body in front. Little. Outlet feed over the stick of Inston, who turns back. Now to the middle of the ice looking for Little. McCulloch on the back check. Brought that opportunity up. So the Enstrom dances around and gets the puck away to Myers. Myers has no lane to move the puck forward while Ottawa changes. Now they'll try the left side. And here is Ladd. Ladd long wrist shot goes up in the air over the net. And Greiba is there for Ottawa. Eric Greiba skates to the center, and he'll flip it in. In there is the left turn for Zar. In hard on Trouba. Kept into the line by Gordievsky across to Greiba. His wrist shot makes the net. And Hutchinson covers up. Stops that one, but he's been beaten once tonight by Kyle Turris. His 16th of the season, and it's 1-0.
Well, we'll call him Trader Kev now. Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff's being lauded for the moves he made leading up to the deadline, starting with the lucrative return he got from Buffalo. When he was finished the day before the deadline, Cheveldayoff had moved only one healthy player, Zach Bogosian, and had bolstered his lineup and added prospects. The Hockey News this week in a poll of GMs rated Winnipeg's prospects #1 among the NHL's 30 teams. So Cheveldayoff's draft and developed philosophy is paying off. Now he's got the trading bug, and we'll know if he's been overcome by it if he starts trading his draft picks, but I don't think anyone expects that to happen, Dave.
I was going to stick with that plan. You saw a shot on the bench there, Gary, of Lee Stempniak, who comes in with 24 games of playoff experience, 13 of those last year.
Well, yeah, it's the 7th team he's playing on. He's been traded 6 times, and he's been moved at the deadline 3 times. But he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge of the game. He's one of those great 200-foot players. I think Paul Maurice talked about the fact that he can move him onto a lot of different lines, and he knows he can help out whoever he's playing with, and he thinks he can actually get some production out of him as well. So it's all good. They really like the guys they picked up. You can tell they've done their research on him. I think Stempniak's really happy to be here.
Here comes Carlson on a step, and the mishandle the puck got away from him just a little bit. Puts it into the corner for Turris, who's surrounded there by Jacob Trouba. Scheifele down low. Art Scheifele's had a very strong season in the words of Paul Maurice. And here is Toulouse. Gets it to Scheifele, and they'll reset to the backside with Trouba. Nice little move to get away from the forecheck of Stone, and that is offside at the Ottawa blue line.
Well, Scott Oak talked about the future watch of the Hockey News and the fact that the Winnipeg Jets are right up there, grade A+, especially with the young lads. They've got all sitting there locked and loaded, ready to go, the prospects. But they figure this team, as you can see on the cover, is going to win a Stanley Cup in 2019. And I guess if it was that easy to win Stanley Cups, just let the Hockey News predict it for you, it would be that easy. But Paul Maurice had a good chuckle over it, and so did Dave Cameron.
He said, he had a great line. Said, you know what, I don't think anybody's got contract right now that long, so let's hope we're all still here. But that cover from the Hockey News is creating quite the buzz here in Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Sun ran with it. It was their front page story.
Like, they don't have enough. They're trying to keep people calm here as it is. Like, Paul Maurice and this team do not believe they're in the playoffs yet. And everybody's...
Chiasson with a shot and a good stop there by Hutchinson.
But everybody believes they are going to be, and yes, they're hoping they're going to be, but they want to keep everything, you know, stay in their lane and keep on track. And look at Chiasson come right in here. Myers has the puck and he throws it out. It's a missed pass to his partner, and that turns the puck over. Good on the Senators to jump on that bouncing loose puck. And Chiasson has had his struggles through this year and hasn't been able to find a lot of consistency in his game. Trying to go far side, but Hutchinson with the glove save.
With 1 assist in his last 7, one of the key pieces that came over the Jason Spezza deal from Dallas. Mark McDonough at the far point, no lane to shoot, so he just sends it in deep. Was picked up back in the net by Bufflin, and that one drifts all the way down the ice. Will McDonough has it.
Well, he had a great start. That's the one thing. When you look at Chiasson, you know, the first 10 games, he had 3 goals and 4 assists, and it looked like he was really going to bring it. And then kind of went to sleep on him, and he's been struggling to get that kind of back ever since.
Another big hit. You'll see a lot of those when you come watch the Winnipeg Jets in this building. Here's Wheeler down low against McDonough. Lowry's got an open man in front of Stempniak, and the pass goes right through his skates. Great chance there for Stempniak in his first game as a Winnipeg Jet. Jay Harrison now. The former Carolina Hurricane goes up. And down the ice it goes. Here's Caruso. He and Borowiecki were on a collision path. Set it in front for Thorburn, and that's broken up by Greiba. Here's Anthony Peluso trying to work the puck free against Greiba. Thorburn helps out. Cycled it back, but it got away from Peluso, and now Lazar is leaned into by Slater.
These are those exits I'm talking about. If you can't get the clean exit, they get running around and they can really lay it on you and spend some time in your end. And this line is good at it.
Oh, there's a chance to a great save made by Andrew Hammond. What a shift by the 4th line for the Winnipeg Jets. But Andrew Hammond has the answer, and it stays 1-0 on Wednesday Night Hockey. Catch the 2015 ICC Cricket World Cup live and in HD. Contact your local service provider or visit getcricket.ca.
The Senators, as they're exiting the zone against this very physical 4th line of the Jets, turn the puck over and it comes right down back at them. A nice little play there by Thorburn to Slater, who's had 2 shots and 2 hits. It is only 2 shifts of the game so far. That's going to be a very big challenge for Condra, Pajot, and Lazar to play against that line with those 2 big guys running around banging all night long. They do have Greiba and Borowiecki back there, but that's going to be tough for that line to manipulate through those big guys. They're going to have to get those clean exits I was talking about.
Senators gain control of the puck off the draw between Leguan and Lowry. Now here's Wheeler with the puck stepping in. Cuts in the middle and shoots, and that is blocked right in front by Wilcox, who was stung a bit on that shot block. Wheeler grinds away along the sideboards. Buckland holds it in, and now it's sent into the corner, waiting for it is Stempniak. Lee Stempniak goes back to Wheeler. His drive and a drop. The puck is loose. Lowry is there. He can't find it. Chiasson trying to find the handle. It comes to a high slot, and Wheeler trying to keep it in, and he lost his footing. Mad scramble there in the Ottawa zone, and Leguan dumps it in, and he was dumped by Bufflin. Greening, the lone man in that forecheck. And the Jets get it back to center with speed. Chipped in by Tolusti. Into the corner, and now after it, Shifley. Spinning it back, looking for his man Stafford. And Turks is back. He'll drift this one down the ice where Enstrom has it now. Enstrom quickly back up. Here is Tolusti, the former first-round pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs years ago. And this one is drifted down the ice. Enstrom. Met there by Turris. And now we have a whistle as back in the Ottawa Senators net, there's an equipment problem with Hammond.
What a hit here by Dustin Bufflin. That's 260 pounds coming at you, and it was a straight arm into the boards. And what a shift for Patrick Wiercauch. He has a great block shot here. You know how hard it is to box out a 260-pound guy on one side of you, and then you got a 220-pound Lowry on the other. And he does a great job of staying in the middle and disrupting the play. and getting it out of the zone with that second effort, helping to get that puck over that blue line. That's all you got to do is get it over the blue line, because everyone has to clear and come out before they can re-attack. So good shot by Wiercauch to get in front of the net and battle it out with some real big bodies, as Hammond's mask has some sort of problem. I don't know if it's something that started with the hit that hit him by Peluso earlier, and it's just kind of maybe gotten worse as the game's been going on. But once that goalie's mask is not fitting on his head any longer, the referee's duty is to get that whistle blown as quickly as possible. So once the play was down in the Winnipeg end, they blew it down, and now he's got some repairs on it. It's fitting pretty good. And we'll get back to the action. What a run this guy's
What
on.
a story.
Man,
It's been a fantastic story.
I mean, it's certainly gotten some hope for the fans and the Senators fans that there is a chance to get into the playoffs here. And you know, I know that the players, they want nothing more than to get into the playoffs, but it's still a long, hard journey here to make up 6 points, leapfrog 3 teams, you know, to get in there and get yourself a playoff spot. And they're giving it their best shot. And hopefully they can get some points out of this game tonight.
That second wild card held right now by the Boston Bruins, and they will see them in Ottawa next week. They got 2 games remaining against the Bruins. So you never know. Puck back in the Ottawa zone. 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go here in the first period. Kyle Turris with the lone goal of the game so far. Here is Mark Method. Method trips that one up in the air. Bobby Ryan knocks it down, but it goes right to Enstrom. Here's Tyler Myers, a big guy who can skate. Step by Hammond, and that is what he's been doing night in, night out. Another big save by Andrew Hammond. Andrew Ladd thought he had an open net, and it stays 1-0. Now here come the Sens. Here's Condra. Had it batted away by Thorburn. Back out to center ice, and Eric Condra hustles back after it. This place can get loud, and they're trying to urge the Jets on here to tie this game. They're out shooting Ottawa 11-5 right now, and here comes Eric Condra again, turning it up at center ice. Steps in. Jean-Gabriel Pageau is rubbed up by Thorburn, and it comes back for Wiercauch. Wiercauch's shot, whoa, is deflected right in front. And Hutchinson had to be careful with that. That one in front, that shot goes just wide. Off the stick of Ceci. Here is Trouba now. Trouba sidesteps Condra. And the pass up to Lowry. He's got some room while Ottawa completes the change. Here's Lowry. His drive blocked in front by Ceci. Goes into the corner. Centering it dead, knocked down, and Buckland keeps the puck in. Picked up by Ceci and chipped back down into the Jet zone. And it's icing against Ottawa.
Sometimes those backboards create quite the opportunity for your opposition, and coming up the ice is Tyler Myers, and he's going to rip this thing, and it's going to miss, but comes straight on the other side. And I think as soon as this puck went by Hammond, he was already making his way across the net. Those are about as far as his legs will stretch out, and he gets that right leg right on it. What a big save for the Ottawa Senators.
Jay Harrison with a bouncing puck, and it's trapped and kicked aside once again by Hammond. Off of the inboards. Into the corner it goes for Scheifele. Scheifele in for Stafford. Stafford is covered there by Legwand. And Legwand digs that puck free, but it comes to Harrison. Harrison turns, shoots him up. Hits a body in front, it goes into the corner. Here's Stafford now. Trying to step away from Ceci. Cycles it back for big Dustin Buckland. Here's Buckland now, spinning it back into the corner for Salusti. Here is Salusti now to just get the cycle game going. Buckland just out of the reach there of Stafford. It comes to the near boards in Ottawa. Here's him. Here's Stafford now with some time. He shoots and it goes across the goal mouth and all the way out to center ice. And Legwand, a tired group of Sens, head to the bench.
You get exhausted. Once you've played last night, the one thing you don't want to do is spend extended time in your end. When you get a chance to get that puck out of the zone, make sure it's clearing, make sure it's getting into an area where you can manage it properly. Those turnovers and that team coming straight back at you again, that's what wears you down.
Brian Little goes in there after it. He's pinned up against the boards, and Carlson is there. Here's Tyler Myers now. Myers had to be careful with the man right on him. It was Milan McCulloch, and Stone follows up. Stone, the Winnipeg native, settles it out in front for McCulloch, and that was broken up and sent down the ice.
There's that long reach of Mark Stone, who's third in the National Hockey League in takeaways, and he's got a great hand-eye coordination. He follows his line mates extremely well. He tracks what they're doing, and he puts himself in great position to steal pucks, and so good at it.
Now with speed, here's Peluso. Puck rolled away from him, and it's chopped off the boards by Toronto. Mike Hoffman turns and gets it up to Bobby Ryan. Ryan with a soft little pass into the middle, intercepted easily by Peluso. And now it's Trouba. Dances around, bang pass to Stewart, and Stewart with a pass in the middle, and Hoffman got just enough of that. Under 3 minutes to go. First period. First of 2 tonight on Sportsnet. Later tonight it's Montreal at Anaheim. To the league's heavyweights as this is icing against the Senators. Sportsnet is proud to bring you coverage of the CWHL Clarkson Cup. Semi-final action starts tomorrow with Game 1 at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Game 2 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Sportsnet 1.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets have scored 4+ goals in 4 of their last 7 games, 5+ goals in 3 of their last 7, and 24 goals altogether in the last 7 games they've played. This is a team that can put goals in your net quickly. In 21 of the 64 games they played this year, they've scored 4 or more goals, and they're 19-0-2 in those games, and they're trying hard tonight to get on the board. They've had many good chances in the 13 shots they've taken. Andrew Hammond has kicked them all out.
Here's Wheeler now. Wheeler tries to step out and feather it in front, but Pajot broke that up. Now right now it's early, but right now they're getting a dose of what Anaheim and LA and all those teams in the West found out about Hammond. Here's a chance now. Walking to the center. A great shot in front of his block by Borowiecki with a key shot block on Lowry. So the Winnipeg Jets come up empty again, and mainly because of this guy, the Hamburglar, is doing it again in Winnipeg.
Well, there can be almost any story behind the painting on a goaltender's mask, so how about what's on Andrew Hammond's? We just got a good look at it as he headed back from the bench, having had some repairs done. But on one side, a large O from the Sens original jersey. It's just above the McDonald's Hamburglar. The Hamburglar here looks a lot like Alfred E. Newman. The 2 buck teeth, though, have been changed to 1 tooth. It is flashy. If you didn't notice Hammond for his play, you would notice the mask, although it is very much his play that everyone's talking about currently, Dave.
And his play right now on this road trip that they're currently on, he's faced 142 shots. He's stopped 138 of them, Gary.
It's incredible that, you know, when you look at his play in Binghamton, and certainly there was no indication that this was what you would see at this point. But when you get your chance, you make the most of it. And that's the great thing about this, is that Andrew Hammond has gotten his chance. It doesn't matter how you get it, but make the most of it, and he certainly is.
Jets back on the attack. There's a long-range shot by Stewart, and another good shot blocked by the Sens in front of Hammond. And now here comes Green. Green has been out of the lineup for a long stretch. Now he's back in for just his 3rd game since the middle of January. Matt Pumples to scratch up front tonight. There's a shot and a save made by Hutchinson. Erik Karlsson had it hop over his stick. And Scheifele following up is going to try and dance in. Leaves it for Tulowitzki. Back in front looking for Scheifele, and that pass never got there. Grading to Karlsson. Karlsson played over 35 minutes last night. How much does he have in him tonight?
Well, he told Scott Oakey he hopes a little more, and I don't think the problem will be with his legs. I think his legs will be fine. He's a jackrabbit. He can move. It's incredible how quick his flash twitch muscles are. It'll be in his head, between his ears. If he's going to get tired, it's going to be psychologically on the ice. It'll be mental mistakes he'll make. He can skate.
Sends with a chance there. Can't get a shot, and Michael Foley skates away to center. Andrew Ladd here against Ceci. Puck goes up in the air and sits down for a little. Works it back to the line, and it almost got away from Enstrom. He'll keep it in. And here's Ladd fighting for that puck down low against Cody Ceci. And finally, we got our first penalty call of the game. It's going to be a holding call against Ceci in behind his own net. 26 seconds to go here in the first period.
Cody Ceci does a really good job with Ladd, who's a tough customer to handle. The thing you got to give Ladd credit for and why the penalty is called is that he continues to battle. He banks it off the back of the net, and then he continues to battle, and because he does that, he doesn't just say, okay, you got me. The referee says, okay, you're not letting them loose. It's way too long. We'll make the call. And the Winnipeg Jets have 26 seconds to see if they can't tie this thing up before they go on the break.
Ottawa's penalty killing has been very good of late, killing off 14 of the last 15. And Little settles in to take this drop against Legwand.
Ottawa penalty number 5, Cody Ceci.
Finally, that puck comes loose, and then it gets jammed again. Now it's fouled and sent down over the ice.
Well, in the month of February, the Winnipeg Jets are running at about 25% on the power play, 10 for 40. So it's something you're going to have to be careful with as Dustin Byfuglien, who shoots that puck from well outside the blue line. But I'm going to tell you, from well outside the blue line, that guy can score. It is an absolute howitzer. And Dave Cameron has got to be thrilled with 7.6 seconds left. If they can get to the dressing room here with a 0-0 lead, that is a great start on the road on back-to-back games. And that's a heater coming at you.
Little again against Legwand. This time he wins it cleanly back to Byfuglien. Shoots in and pick that out. Loose puck centered in front of that shot. Too many bodies in front, never reached the net. And the Ottawa Senators, in Game 5 of a 5-game road trip, finish the first period with a 1-0 lead on the goal by Kyle Turris. George Stroumboulopoulos with a sit-down interview with Gary Bettman coming up at our first intermission as we send you back to Hockey Central and your host, Darren Millard.
Ottawa was outshot 15-6 in the first period, but the Senators lead the Jets 1-0 heading for the second period on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey. It's a homecoming tonight for Mark Stone of the Senators, a Winnipeg boy, so there are 25 family and friends in the Stone contingent tonight, led by his parents, Rob and Jackie, after being drafted 178th overall by the Sens. What a player he's turned into. He's known for his takeaways. Watch this one. Right off Jerome McGinley's stick earlier this season to set up the winning goal versus Colorado. He's been very important in the Sens playoff revival, and Stone will be a restricted free agent this summer, so he's in line to be re-signed with a significant raise. And by the way, his is a hockey family. Brother Michael plays for Arizona. The two faced each other at the end of January for the first time, and Mark had the winning goal in a 7-2 Ottawa victory. Dave Randorf and Gary Galley with the call of the second period.
Thank you, Scott. Hi again, everybody. There is the former Winnipeg Thrasher AAA player, Mark Stone, and there is Cody Ceci, who still has 1:34 to go in his holding penalty. The Jets are 0-4 against the Senators on home ice since they relocated here. While they fixed the ice, let's get your thoughts in the opening 20 minutes there, Gary.
Well, I'll show you a board, and it'll kind of explain how the first period went. If you're the Winnipeg Jets, you out-hit the Ottawa Senators 19-6, you outshot them 15-6, and you outchanced them 6-2. So if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you're going, hey, we had a pretty good period. We didn't get the goals that we wanted, but pretty good period. And if you're the Ottawa Senators, this is a great road period. We're up 1-0 on the road. That's exactly where you want to be. Tied or ahead after one. That's always been the staple. Our goaltender looks sharp. He doesn't look tired like everyone thought he might be. So, yeah, we're getting a little outplayed in the first period, but we'll get our feet underneath us, hopefully, and get going. So I think both teams are coming out here feeling pretty good about how the first period went.
The Jets start out from their own zone. There's a pass into the middle for Brian Little. He finds Byfuglien on the wide side. Here's Byfuglien coming to the net, and he sneaks it up and over the goal. Rebound, and Hammond is there on the second attempt by Dustin Byfuglien.
It's hard to believe that a guy built like a lineman can move like that. And Dustin Byfuglien comes down the outside, gets a nice little feed, and Gryba can't get turned on him, and he's coming all the way in. There's no way you're stopping that. And then he bowls right over the top of Borowiecki. Good job to follow him across, and the puck comes bouncing out in front. Hammond gets it off the crest, off the arm, and then cradles it into the body.
And Byfuglien corrals that puck to the point, puts it in there for Edson into the corner. Enstrom pressured by Gryba up in the air, and it gets up and over Byfuglien, and look out, here's a short-handed break. It's Condra in, stopped by Hutchinson. Big save there by Michael Michael Hutchinson on the speedster. Condra short-handed. Now the Jets come in there. There's a centering attempt for Wheeler, and it was just out of his reach. Byfuglien knocks that puck down, keeps it in. Wheeler's going to step in there around leg line, carries it in the corner. Now he's going to round the net. Here's Wheeler, back to the line for Byfuglien. In there for Lindstrom. Takes a look and then pulls it back. Across to Byfuglien, weak shot, and that came just outside the line. And that is offside against the Jets and Byfuglien.
Blair Condra under Paul McLean was healthy scratched 14 times and none in 33 games under Cameron, who seems to have found a bigger role for the utility player, and Condra gets loose as Byfuglien just can't handle a puck at the blue line. It bounces off him, he can't locate it, and the speedy Condra takes off to the races. And what a save by Michael Hutchinson. He's a guy that we haven't talked about much. He's had an outstanding year for Winnipeg. One of the reasons why they are where they are. It's been a quiet night so far for him, but the Ottawa Senators are going to try to change that.
Just 12 seconds to go now. The Jets power play. Here is Stafford. Drew Stafford trying to get away from Carlson. Puts it back there and waiting for it is Myers. Myers goes across to Trouba. Trouba in for Scheifele. Back for Trouba. There's Ceci out of the box. There's a shot from Myers. Goes off a leg and carries into the corner. Trouba with a blast. Ends up with Stafford. Stafford banks it high off the boards and waiting for it is Tulosti. He'll send it back to Trouba. Trouba towards it. Tulosti had Hammond down the whole net. And he finds the post. And it stays 1-0. Here comes Trouba stepping in there. Trouba has the puck taken away. Crowd buzzing over that miss by Tulosti, who still does not have a goal as a Winnipeg Jet. And Lowry lines it up in the goal end. Lead pass ends up with Stepniak. Stepniak has the puck taken away by Greiba. And here is Methot. Greiba takes it and takes a hit. Held to the line by Byfuglien. More pressure here from the Jets. Building in a power play chance. Walking out from behind the net is Foley. Back to Byfuglien. His drive over the glove of Hammond. Stepping up as Harrison centers out in front for Lowry, who was tied up. Jets are all over him here. Here's Foley with a shot, and Hammond makes the save and hangs on as Michael Frolik and Tulosti look up at the sky.
Well, Yuri Tulosti is going to have a wide open net here, and we'll look at the reason why. I think Carlson gives him a whack just across the top of the stick, just as he's going to unload it right there, and he doesn't get a chance to turn his wrist over. And because he doesn't, the puck stays on the outside of the blade and bounces off that goalpost. I remember the first game Hammond played it against the Montreal Canadiens, Brandon Prust had a very similar wide open net and hit the goalpost as well. So the hockey gods are certainly in the pads of Andrew Hammond.
3 minutes gone in this second period. Just about all of it has been down to that Ottawa end, and here they come again. Caruso tripped up as the puck rolls in on Hammond, and the play is whistled out.
Facing a compromising situation? We can help. Apply today at wiserfund.ca. No purchase necessary. Must be legal drinking age.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets have 22 occasions this year have gone to overtime or a shootout, which is most in the National Hockey League. And that's hard on your goaltenders as well. You look at Michael Hutchinson, who's 5-3 in his last 8 games, and 6 of those 8 have been to a shootout or overtime. So that's a lot of stress on your goaltender. He's handled it pretty good.
Here is Trouba. Handles the puck and backs it up to Jim Slater. Slater, a long veteran in this franchise. Close to becoming the franchise all-time leader in games played. He's out there. And this comes to center ice for Trouba. Sacks it back in. Off a stanchion, bounces right to Andrew Ladd, who cuts it in the middle. Ladd was bumped off the puck hard there by Colin Greeding. Greeding, who desperately wants to stay in the lineup. Here is Stone. Stone surrounded by a couple of Jets. And Turris is in there. Turris remains the only goal scorer we have so far here tonight. And now he's got the puck up high from McCullough. Couldn't take a shot, and Ladd skates it away to center. And the puck is knocked off of his stick. McCulloch now. They land McCulloch towards the net. Puck is loose for Turris, and he couldn't find it on the backhand. After the initial stop by Hutchinson. Now here's a chance. Loose puck. Wheeler racing in there, shoots on a hand square to the shooter. Makes the save, and there is no rebound.
One of the things, and we saw Byfuglien do it on the short-handed chance, and you've seen Karlsson do this a few times tonight. You try to hold the line on a bouncing puck. It's very difficult to hold in. He gets back to take away that guy, and I think his partner trusted him he was going to be there. What a solid hit there by Colin Greening on Andrew Ladd. That's exactly what you want to do when you've been healthy scratched as many times as Colin Greening is. Do the things you do best. He's a big body. They like when he gets contact. Good solid hit on the captain.
Icing against Ottawa. That's coming right back down into the area.
That's the one thing about Karlsson is he can take those risks because he can get back. And when you play with Mafat and you get used to each other as much as you do, Mafat knew he was going to get back. He committed right to Wheeler right away and pushed him to the outside, made the angle a little bit more difficult to make the save a little easier for Hammond. Because if you didn't think he was coming back, you would have played more the middle of that 2-on-1. He knew he was going to get there.
Here's Scheifele now. Battling for that puck along with Eric Gryba. Goes into the corner for Stafford. He chips it right back down low. Erik Tulowitzki. Stafford along the boards, and Tulowitzki tripped up in behind the stumps now. Byfuglien steps up. Winnipeg is really leaning on it down at this end here in this second period. Here's Tulowitzki out of the corner, goes back to Rod. Stafford's one-timer, weak and wide, bounces off of the inboards where Hoffman has it. This guy can fly, as we know by now, speeding down there, cuts it in the middle. Hoffman couldn't pull the trigger, and now he's hitting himself in the corner, but he gets the puck away. Ryan with a shot, and Hutchinson down, covered all the angles. Dustin Byfuglien goes back and forth with Harrison. Now up to Adam Lowry. Into the middle of the ice for a Harrison long-range shot, and there are not many rebounds to be found around the Hamburglar tonight.
In the Tim Horton keys to the game, I mentioned that the Winnipeg Jets in the offensive zone want to get some traffic in the crease. Watch this traffic here. Byfuglien, Scheifele, everyone trying to get in and disrupt Andrew Hammond, who's been absolutely lights out. And I'm sure they talked about it in the locker room as well. Guys, we've got to get traffic in front of this guy. We've got to make his life a little more miserable, a little bit harder for him to locate pucks. He's done a good job tracking the pucks. Let's see if we can't disrupt that a little bit.
Turris against Lowry. Pulled back to the line and chopped at by the Winnipeg Jets, but taken away by McCulloch. Frolik. That is stick knocked out of his hands and broken. Look out! Couldn't finish it as Hutchinson goes down and out. There's another drive, a loose puck, and a rebound chance for Hutchinson to cover up, and he does. Frantic action around the Winnipeg net, and somehow Hutchinson keeps it out and keeps this a 1-0 game on Scotiabank Wednesday night hockey.
The Ottawa Senators bite back a little bit as Hutchinson, a little miscue behind the net. Turris comes out, gets a crack at it, and then it comes back to the front of the net, and they get a few good licks as Mark Stone tries to slide it through. But in that mess, Kyle Turris gets driven into the elbow of Trouba. Look at the top right eye, the little mouse that's swelling up there. The lower part of the eye is an old one. That's yellow. You know that's old. The top one, that purple, that's a new one, as his face got just smashed into the backside of Trouba.
There's a lot of players that come into this rink and leave a little bit black and blue.
Hey, Mike Milbury used to say, let them know you're there, bleed on them. So, you know, you got to know you're in the game. You get a little bit of blood taste in your mouth, you know you're battling.
Tyler Myers with a good rush up the center, and they can't get the puck deep. Now Little puts it into the corner around the boards. It's going to be picked up by Hoffman. Good bang pass to Karlsson. He's pressured by Wheeler. Karlsson skates himself into trouble. Comes up the middle of the ice, and here is Enstrom down low for Myers. Backhand, shoots it in there. They can't get another shot, and it comes outside the line.
Hoffman got rocked. He is making his way off here extremely slow and bent over. And this line has been very quiet tonight. Zibanejad, Hoffman, Ryan, and Ryan, very, very quiet. We've hardly mentioned him. Watch the top of your screen. He gets knocked just like Turris, but he gets knocked into the knee of Wheeler, it looks like. The push from behind right there by Myers, and his head runs right into Wheeler. And it's very similar to Stewart, who drove Turris into Trouba. When you get hit from behind, you cannot control yourself, and he is bleeding big time from the nose.
Here's a chance for Legwand. Legwand stepping in there. There's a glove save made by Hutchinson.
There's nothing worse than being shoved and you're out of control and you cannot get your hands up in front of you. It's just you just can't do it, and then your nose takes the brunt of it all. As we look at this save from David Legwand on Hutchinson, and good defensive play there by Buckland, who doesn't take a penalty, but his stick disrupts Legwand enough to not be able to get a good shot away.
Scheifele wins that draw cleanly, pulls it back for Buckland, working around the boards where it's going to be met by Greiba. Greiba towards it, and it's deflected just up and over the corner. Borowiecki knocks that down and then steps into Scheifele. Hand pass gets the whistle as we take you back to Hockey Central for an update from Darren Millard.
Happening now on Sportsnet 1, Wings and the Rangers. Justin Abdelkader opened the scoring before the Rangers get it back in the power play. Dan Girardi down in the zone. It's 1-1. Rangers win. They take over first in the Met. Guys?
The New York Rangers, the only team in the NHL over the last 10 games that's hotter than the Ottawa Senators right now.
Well, they might have to do it without Mike Hoffman, who made his way to the locker room. That's an awful lot of blood to stop on the bench. I think the trainer did the best he could just to get him to the locker room, but they're going to have a closer look at it, and we'll see if he comes back.
Pajot back to the line. Wilcox the shot. Rebound, and Hutchinson made a good stave in close on Greiba. Rolls into Hammond. He directs traffic and gets it to Ceci. Banks it off the boards, and Condra had to get past him to Trouba. Trouba pressure there by Pajot. This hard forecheck here by Jean-Gabriel Pajot. Now in on Lowry. Gets the puck back to Ceci. His drive knocked down, hit a body in front, and we have got a penalty call against the Winnipeg Jets. It is going to be a slash, and Ottawa's got a power play coming.
Nice bite back shift by the Pajot line as we see this Weirkosh shot come right through, and it almost fooled Hutchinson as it sat off to the side of him to the left as Mike Hoffman makes his way to the Senator locker room, and they'll have a look at that nose, and hopefully he'll be back. And we'll have a look at our penalty here as we see Trouba. This shift got a bit ugly. The shot comes through and hits Stewart. And you see Trouba coming in with that slash, and he'll sit for 2 or less. But that was a real good bite-back shift. Pajot took down Trouba, then he went into the corner and hit Lowry. Condra came around, threw his body weight into it. It was good to see a little physical play by the Ottawa Senators there.
Ottawa just 2 for 14 on this current road trip. Both those goals in the same game. As they set up shop, there's Legwand snapping it towards the head. Loose for Ryan. He sweeps it in there, and Hutchinson got just enough. Now moves across. Zibanejad circling around in the high slot. Down low behind the goal is Ryan. Ryan up to Erik Karlsson up top. Weirkosh back to Karlsson. One-timer right on, and Hutchinson makes the save.
Well, sitting in that Alexander Ovechkin location is Erik Karlsson as he tries to one-time it, and Senators power play, good puck possession in the Winnipeg end. They get the puck moving around pretty good. Hard to shoot through people, but right there, I think Bobby Ryan's got it. He's waiting for a pass maybe down low. Once he sees that shot coming, get out in front of Hutchinson. He can't get that good a look at it.
Jets penalty kill 100% over the last 4 games, 12 for 12. Here's Zibanejad stepping in, puts the puck down right center in front, and Zibanejad put that up and over the net. Karlsson, Vegan Zibanejad walks down the half board, flips it across the ice. Weirkosh has it stripped by Buckland. He's racing around, he's got Little with him. Buckland in there, can't get it across to Little. And back quickly in transition is Karlsson, and his speed is under the reach there of Bobby Ryan. But they get the puck in, look out, Ryan scores! Bobby Ryan with a quick release, one-timer, back of the net, and it is 2-0 Ottawa.
The value of Erik Karlsson. This play gets turned around. This is a 2-on-1 goal the other way. Erik Karlsson, Mika Zibanejad gets back. He disrupts the 2-on-1. Now he is on the offense. He's already gone. He misses Ryan, who dives for it, but good on the Senators. Chiasson getting in on the forecheck. It creates the loose puck, and it comes right out in front to Bobby Ryan, who got up off his stomach, worked himself into the slot, into his forehand, and just barely stopped it. It was more of a quick release as he gets the puck, but a lot of really good positive things that happen, enabling the puck to end up on the stick of Bobby Ryan. But it starts with a great 2-on-1 play by the captain, Erik Karlsson, and then he gets off on the offense, and the Senators with a 2-0 lead.
17th of the year for Bobby Ryan. Goals in back-to-back nights. He scored last night in Minnesota. A big goal in their comeback after they trailed 2-0 in that one. Now they lead 2-0 here in Winnipeg. Zibanejad and Karlsson get the assists on the power play goal. 9:07 the time here in the second period.
Karlsson came all the way from almost where the Senator bench is, full speed across the ice to even get into the 2-on-1. Like at that point, most guys' legs would have been done by then. Well, Bobby Ryan is somebody that has really picked up since Dave Cameron has taken over, and a much stronger player. He seems to be much better in the puck possession. Again, it's Erik Karlsson who starts this play off, and then he gets a nice little feed from Hoffman. He one-times it, and here he makes no mistake. And Bobby Ryan knows if he stops that puck at all, a goalie of Michael Hutchinson's stature is going to get across and have a better chance of stopping it. If he can release it right away, better chance of scoring.
Trouba puts it up the boards, waiting for it there with Stafford. He was in traffic, so he'll try the other side and go to Stewart. Zalusti got it to center, and here comes Scheifele, but back there was Mark McGough. Meantime, Winnipeg can't be that unhappy with its effort so far, despite the fact they're down by a couple. And they're back to work in the offensive zone. Here's Stafford, walks it in front, puts it out there to left. Heads up an inch, and his shot is deflected in the corner. Back in front for left. Tried to center it, but too many Senators were back, and now they've got the puck. Leglock skates it in, stops the shot, never reached the goal, but he'll keep it deep with Green down there. Colin Green trying to walk out into the middle of the ice. And here comes Brian Little. Little snaps it in there. Bounces in behind the net, and Little saw that train coming. And this one rolls right in on Hutchinson. He's going to take no chances. He'll cover up for the faceoff. Kyle Turris in the first period, and Bobby Ryan on the power play in the second. 2-0 here at the MTS Center.
In our bio, brought to you by Boston Pizza, it's Blake Wheeler, easily the Jets' most durable player. A big fan of Modano and Yzerman growing up, themselves pretty durable players. The 2 games Wheeler missed last week bring the total number of games he's missed in 4.5 years with the franchise to 4. Spent one of those games last week watching at home and speaking, as his wife Sam described it, gibberish to the TV. Commenting on every play with some salty hockey language thrown in, Sam finally left the room. She would conclude her husband's better off on the ice than watching his team, Dave.
It sounds like us. We sit up here and just gibberish and everything. I just have a hard time seeing him on that third line. He missed 2 games, and he comes back, and he's on the third line. I get you want to spread things out and all, but this is your best player, your leading scorer from last year. I have a hard time watching him on the
Well, it's out there right now with Glad and Little. Perhaps a shift has been made. Perhaps they heard your mind.
Well, they're down 2-0, so it's not working. But you can't in 2 games lose your job.
There's a chance, and a sharp angle try there on the backhand is thwarted by Hutchinson. Now Torres finds the backdoor man, walking in a Stone, and he centers it, and it gets past everybody. Torres out of the corner now is Stone. Can't center it. There he does, and they score. Erik Konja. Another beautiful one-time quick release. And look at the Ottawa Senators up 3-0.
You're spotting Hammond 3 goals, and judging from the way he's played, that is going to be a tough deal for Winnipeg. Great movement by the Senators, and all the action out in front was on Condra. Bufflin and Harrison had knocked him down, and then all of a sudden they just kind of forgot about him, and Bufflin is playing behind the net. Rule of thumb is, The guy behind the net is not going to score from there. Don't leave the guy open in front of the net where the guy has a much more obvious chance of scoring, and they're going to make a goaltending change as Hutchinson's going to come out here, and in comes Pavelec. This is not Hutchinson's fault. These are goals coming from point-blank areas of the ice. I think Paul Maurice is just looking to restart his team here. He has got to do something to get them back into this hockey game. They are running out of time. The third periods are normally not their most productive periods. That falls in the favor of the Senators, believe it or not. Winnipeg only with 48 third period goals. Coach can't be happy. Those are missed assignments in your end of the ice. As I said, Byfuglien is leaning his stick behind the goal line, and he leaves the guy out in the slot open. It's just I think it's a, by the percentages, a poor choice.
Eric Caldwell recently had a 5-game point streak. Gets the goal here. That is 2 goals, Gary, in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. As you see Dustin Byfuglien now headed down the funnel for the Jets.
Not only does Michael Hutchinson lead the game, but at this point, Dustin Byfuglien as well. And we'll have a look and see maybe what happened here. He goes in behind the net, and as he throws this hit, I'm not really sure. There's nothing there that looks like it's bad unless he tweaks his knee, and he's leaning down on his knee or his right arm, but I didn't see anything forceful enough, and that's probably why he's lost his focus and his concentration, and when the play came around the net, he kind of lost his positioning. But I really didn't see anything in that highlight that would show me that he hurt his arm. As Erik Karlsson heads to the penalty box, and Michael Hutchinson makes his way back to the bench to support his teammates. And this is maybe what the doctor ordered for the Winnipeg Jets. Can they find a way to get a spark?
Delay a game penalty against Karlsson, so a power play chance here for Winnipeg. Their second of the night as Hutchinson and company look on. Little to take the drop against David Legwand. He's up there with Wheeler and Ladd. Myers and Enstrom are along the points. And it's controlled back to Enstrom. He'll move it across to Tyler Myers. Back to Enstrom. Toby Enstrom creeps into the corner now and then throws it back out to Myers. Myers back across to Enstrom. Enstrom in front looking for the tip from Ladd, and he couldn't connect. Here's Enstrom, closely guarded. One tough pass in the middle for Ladd, and getting his stick in the lane was Condra. Myers steps up to keep the puck in there. Wheeler muscles it free for Little. Little works it around the boards, and there's Legwand now, who skates it to center, then dumps it down the ice. And the penalty killer's change.
Great anticipation by David Legwand. As he pushed behind the net, he realized he was going to throw it around and cut it off on the wall. Great job there to get it down to the penalty kill.
There's Tyler Myers, lugs that puck in, and now it's Wheeler in behind the goal. Blake Wheeler throws it under the corner. They go back to the line for Myers. Across to Little, rolls up and shoots, and that's over the glove of Hammond. Brian Little with 9 power play goals leads the Jets. Now Scheifele comes onto the ice. There's Scheifele chasing after that loose puck there. In against Mark Stone. Back to the line for Myers. In for Scheifele. And Myers. Scheifele walks in, down low is Wheeler. Wheeler right in front looking for Ladd. Couldn't find him. Myers with a wrist shot. Last second attempt, and Hammond makes the stop on the captain, Andrew Ladd.
Mark Stone's got to get that puck down the ice. He's mad at himself. Andrew Ladd's going to get a pretty good look at it, and this is all because Stone just doesn't get it down. He muffs the thing, and it comes back to the net, and off the skate of a Myers shot goes right to Ladd. When Little cut across the top of the circle to shoot a puck, this is a hit he took earlier in the shoulder, and when he came across to shoot the puck, you could see him flinch, and as soon as he flinched after this shot right there, he said, I got to go off. Something's not right there. Trainers are having a look at him at the bench.
This one comes to center ice where Trouba has to go back and get it. Jacob Trouba surveying the situation. Just 16 seconds to go in the penalty against Karlsson. Zalusti. And Stafford can't contain the puck, and there is Legwand. Banks it off the board, just out of the reach of McCulloch. Power play's over, 1 shot on net for the Jets, who are now 0 for 2 on the night. And down by 3 on home ice. And it's offside at the line. The Ottawa Senators looking to run the table here of sorts on this road trip, up by 3.
Reese visits with a trainer who's coming out probably to give him news on Dustin Byfuglien, and the news will be whether or not he'll see him again tonight or not, and I don't know what that answer is. But right off the face-off, Byfuglien looks fine here. Nothing to do here. He bumps into Condra. Again, everything looks fine. Again, I don't see anything, even on this hit, and it's his right side he favors. Watch his right arm as he goes against the wall. He comes around, and he's going to drop it off his stick and go down, like a right shoulder or right arm injury. And I'm not sure where he hurt it there. It could be an existing injury that maybe he has re-aggravated, but nothing there looked like it should have hurt the big man.
2-1 chance. Lowry to the cross, and Harmon makes another spectacular save on Lee Stempniak. Wow, here's Myers again. Creeps in. His shot wide of the net. Who is this guy? Here's Felipe out of the corner. Battling for that loose puck. That's knocked down by Lowry's high stick, and that will draw a whistle, and the faceoff goes outside the blue line as the Hamburglers legend grows.
I think the Hamburglar might have made this save. Watch the mask. Right there. Right off where that crest of that Hamburglar is, goes that puck, and he sticks his head in front of it. And goaltenders now will use their head, their masks. Look at Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice's reaction was like, you got to be kidding me.
Here's Carlson, straight in the middle of the ice, and the pass was too hot to handle with Stone, who would love to score one tonight. It is his first game in a regular season match in his hometown of the MTS Center. McDonough buckles up in the air. There's Stone back there. Off the boards, he goes to McCulloch. McCulloch goes all the way across the ice to Carlson, and McCulloch lugs it in, and they are offside, entering the zone. That looked like a dangerous opportunity. Well, tonight on The Americans, Elizabeth begins to take family matters into her own hands. A new episode of one of the most critically acclaimed dramas begins tonight, 10 Eastern and Pacific on FX.
Mike Hoffman of the Ottawa Senators returns to action, and I'm sure with a nose that's pretty sore as it looks pretty banged up in his lower lip as he was unfortunately shoved into the body of Blake Wheeler. And good to see him back in the lineup for the Ottawa Senators. What a bright spot he has been for them.
He and Stone, two of the top scoring rookies in the NHL.
It's not just his speed, you know, that he creates things in the goals he scores. This is a kid who's plus 25. I mean, there's no one even close to that on this hockey team, which speaks volumes to the fact that they are trusting him defensively as well, which was one thing they were worried about him when the season started. Was he going to be able to handle the defensive responsibilities?
Leguan chips it in there, and Stewart takes a look around. Both shoulders, she has gone over one of them. And it's up the board for Yuri Chaluzny, who earlier this period had a glorious chance to get Winnipeg's first goal. And hit the post. Here's Green now. Charging in there, this lost his footing. Lazar follows up with a good hard hit. And now Lazar's got the puck. Turns, shoots, and he fired it up and over the glove of Andre Pavlik.
Due to the fact they have fallen behind, Paul Maurice has really had a tough time getting his fourth line on the ice. This is the first shift I've seen them on in some time. He's got to try to get some action going with him. This was actually one of their better lines in the first period.
And Slater is the center for that line. Thorburn can't get it out of the first attempt. Does so on the second. Now chipped in there by Slater. Slater in deep, and he takes a hard hit from Carlson. Peluso follows up with a hit on the Ottawa captain and gets the puck. Calling for it is Edstrom. Edstrom quickly moves it across to Myers. Myers took a look and puts it towards the net. Blocked and cleared by Zibanejad. Not out. Here's Mathod now. Some time and space. Little touch pass from Calder into the middle of the ice from Zibanejad. 3 different goal scorers tonight for Ottawa. Turris, Ryan, and Condra. They're wrapping up a 5-game road trip. They're 3-0-1 so far.
Not just 3-0-1. I mean, They went into the West, into that three-headed monster in California, and slayed it. And then they go into Minnesota, one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League, and almost came out with 2 points. I mean, they lost it in a shootout, but a real solid effort. I watched the game last night, as did you. It was an incredibly quick game back and forth, and we talked to Dave about that. He was thrilled with the performance, and he was hoping that they had enough to muster up tonight in a building that can get awfully loud. But how do you silence a building? You just don't give them anything to get excited about, and the Senators have done that.
And Winnipeg has been very good of late on home ice. They got lost here in regulation since January 31st. Well, they're in a big hole.
They threw the kitchen sink at Andrew Hammond in the first period and early in the second, but Senators took this game over about 5 minutes into the second, and they've been outplaying Winnipeg.
Rival forced back by Lee Stempniak. And Trouba meets it to the point, hops over his stick. He has to retreat to go get it and work it back to Harrison. Here's Harrison moving across to Trouba. Takes a look and finds his man, Andrew Ladd, and he couldn't feel that pass cleanly, and it's sent back into the Winnipeg zone. Here's Bobby Ryan, one of the goal scorers tonight. Going to go for a lap all the way around the outside. Throws it back into the corner for Ceci. And Adam Lowry takes over from there. Lifts this one down the ice, right in on nets, and Hammond covers up.
That's one of the easier saves Andrew Hammond has had. He got banged into very early in this game where Peluso cranked him on the side of the head. I might have woke him up even more, as he has been so sharp. His body is fronting the puck constantly, nice and upright. He came across a nice little athletic move there with the right leg. Pucks just don't bounce out inside of him. They stay right in his belly. He hides them in there, and the numbers are outstanding. The numbers are something in itself, but when you watch him live and you see his movement for a guy who has very little National Hockey League experience and doesn't know much about these shooters, you know, he has done a real admirable job of just shutting teams down, and it's been incredible to watch.
Never drafted. Signed as a free agent out of Bowling Green. Let's not get Gary Galley started on that.
It's an amazing story, and the thing I say is he doesn't know the shooters. Well, the shooters don't know him either, and you heard Darren Pang talk about that. You know, when you're a shooter and you're used to shooting against a particular goal, you know some tendencies. Teams are just learning about him.
Little back into the ice for the Jets, cuts into the middle and drops it back. Instant looking for Myers, and Myers had that pass just in behind him. Final minute now, second period. 3-0 for the Ottawa Senators, who have stunned this capacity crowd here at MTS Center tonight. Zaluski now. He'll go across to Myers, who's going to join this rush. Hammers one in there on Hammond. Steered into the corner. Myers blocker, and it picks up. Throws it out in the middle. Ends up with Stafford. Stafford shoots, and he fired it high. Round the boards. Stewart steps up to keep the puck pinned. And Pajot has it now for the Sens. Here is Lazar. Into the corner it goes. Stewart's giving a hard hit there by Pajot, who's got some edge to his game tonight, doesn't he?
Well, you're in the last minute of this period.
Centering attempt to broke it up.
And you got your fourth line on there. And the reason why you got your fourth line on there is because they've had a heck of a game for you. They've battled that fourth line as Stewart's going to go to the penalty box for catching Condra in behind the play there. And I think this group here, Condra, Pajot, and Lazar, have been a thorn in the side. I mean, they've taken the big bodies of that fourth line, and what they've done is they've thrown their speed at them. Their quickness and speed, as you see the hit from Stewart in from behind, and I think it's a retaliation from the hit that Condra had thrown in the corner from behind seconds earlier. Unfortunately, the retaliation for Stewart, and 2 seconds this period will be over.
And once the period is over, the Winnipeg Jets will need a big reset against this Ottawa Senators team, which is up by 3. Bobby Ryan has his 17th of the year. It's 3-0. Time now for To The Points with Nick Kypreos and Doug MacLean, and your host, Darren Millard, back at Hockey Central.
Andrew Hammond has had the Jets' number tonight, and he's got some goal support from his teammates, 3 in all, and the Sens lead the Jets 3-0 to start the third period. Camouflage jerseys are commonplace on military appreciation nights the league over, but the Jets' Jacob Trouba is taking it a step further as the Jets honor Canadian forces tonight. There, of course, is Trouba's camouflage jersey, but he's also using a camouflage stick. Black and green, the camo colors, and it's made by Sherwood. The stick will be put up for auction on NHL.com to raise money for Canadian Armed Forces charities. Trouba himself, a big supporter of the military. The stick was his idea, a nice one, but right now he's mostly concerned with finding a way back into this game, and the Jets will have to do it without Dustin Byfuglien, officially an upper body injury, and he will not return tonight. So the concern of the Jets goes probably even past this game, because if Byfuglien is out for any length of time, that will hurt. Dave Randorf and Gary Galley with the call of the third.
Thanks, Scott. So if the Jets are going to come back and win this one, Gary, they're going to have to do something they have not done all season long. 16-4 when trailing after 2.
Well, they're going to have to do something that hasn't happened all season long as well, and that's score more than 3 goals on Andrew Hammond. He hasn't allowed more than 3. He's only allowed 8 in total in the 6 games that he's played, with 2 shutouts in there. So their task at hand is going to be rather large. It's not insurmountable, but they've got to start to get more pucks at him and more traffic around him to get those loose pucks.
Zibanejad first to the puck in the Jets zone. It comes up the board, swatted down there, where it is met by Ottawa, moved across to Karlsson. Karlsson creeps in here as they start this third period on the power play after that late penalty taken by Stewart. Zibanejad puts it into the corner for Ryan. Chiasson comes right in front, and here is Zibanejad now. Harrison stopped it up, but Zibanejad ends up with it again. Legwand manning one of those points along with Karlsson. Back up top for David Legwand. His shot into traffic, and the puck caroms in behind the net. Trouba sends it around the boards, and Lowry does the rest of the job, sweeping it down the ice.
Well, the Senators electing to go with 4 forwards. Hoffman is a guy who sometimes will play on the backside, but he banged himself up there earlier, so they went with Legwand, who leads this team in power play goals.
Here's Patrick Wiercott, gains the zone and fires that one in, where it's met by Stone. Stone behind the net, feeds it out front, gets past McCulloch, and McCulloch hard around the boards near side, where it's met by Karlsson. Karlsson off the skate of Enstrom. And Toby Enstrom gets on his horse, curls back, takes some more time off the clock. 28 seconds to go in this power play. Tapped in there by Frolik, who's got some short-handed goals to his credit so far this season. Sent all the way down, out of the reach there of Hammond as he lets it drift by.
I don't know if he let it drift by or he missed it. I'm not really sure, but
he's so hot.
he acted like he let it go by.
At this point, I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Here's Ceci now, moves it across the board to Yipsky. Wrist shot, deflected wide. Stone tries to get to the loose puck as Stewart steps out of the box. So the power play is over. No shots for the Sens with that man advantage. Up ahead to Pajot. Stops up along the half boards. Crowded there, so he sends it back in. Trouba's back in, surrounded by a couple of Sens. Got it away to Stafford, and near side, nobody home for Winnipeg, and it is hammered back in by Grima. Winnipeg, after the penalty kill, trying to maybe get some momentum going here in the third period. Get some life back into this building, because the Ottawa Senators, red hot coming in, have sucked the life right out of this place. Here's Colin Greening now. Cannot advance the puck. Here's Myers. Up ahead for Stafford. Stafford in front, and Hammond makes the stop on the hard-charging Jet Ford, who's drawn a penalty. And with Scheifele going hard to the net, and it is going to be a slashing call against Ottawa.
Well, he still made the save on the play, as Erik Karlsson's going to get his second penalty of the game. Nice play up the wall, and giving him the outside space is not a big deal, but as Scheifele gets inside position on Karlsson right there, Karlsson leans in to whack it over the top of the stick, but catches the top of his right leg right there, and that's what drives Scheifele down to the ice. And there's your penalty, and the Winnipeg Jets will go on the power play and see if they can't find a way to solve Andrew Hammond.
0 for 2 tonight. And they'll set up with Enstrom on the back end. No Byfuglien, remember, out for a night with an upper body injury. There's a shot in front for Lash. Rebound at it. Hammond makes the save, and the puck stays loose, and it's sent down by Condra.
Well, they've killed 16 of the last 17, and that's how you do it. Anytime the puck heads to the net, you've got to win the battles for the loose puck. And once you win those battles, it's got to go 200 feet.
Myers steps in and then keeps going into the corner. Myers back to Enstrom. Out of the corner now is Little. Up high for Myers. Myers shoots it. Hammond got a piece of that. Tyler Myers all over the place here in this power play. Moves it back to Little. Gets it to Enstrom. Up top to Little. Little to Myers. Myers centers it in front. Comes right back to him. And now he sets it up for Brian Little. Across to Enstrom. One-timer. Stick snaps. Pajot has got the puck. Jean-Gabriel Pajot snaps the shot. And Pavelec steers that aside. Up ahead now for Trouba. Over a minute gone in this crucial Winnipeg power play. And they got to go back and get it. Here is Stone racing down there. Stone. Push into the play, and the Jets move it up. Tulosti to Scheifele. Into the middle of the ice for Stafford. Here's Scheifele now. Both he and Tulosti overskated the puck, and Stone got it free.
Good job by Trouba there. You're taking a bit of a risk stepping up, but the one thing you know is you've got to get the man. You can't reach for the puck. Good play. Let his partner to Trouba.
And now it's a chance. Short-handed. Kyle Turris in shoots, and he fired it wide. Here's Tulosti. Back the other way. 9 seconds of the power play. Stafford floats it in front, and that is aggressively kicked aside by Hammond. Here's Tulosti again in, and his shot is up and over the goal. Teams back at even strength. Carlson's out of the box. Centering it 10. Paddle down is Hammond, and it goes into the corner for Stafford. Here's Stafford. His shot is squeezed by Andrew Hammond, who's got it again.
Kyle Turris had it on his stick, and I think the game on his stick. This would have absolutely put the dagger in the heart of the Winnipeg Jets. Nice play by Stone. Take the hit to make the play, and he tries to go short side, glove side on Pavelec. Couldn't do it. And look at the traffic they're trying to get in front of Andrew Hammond, and he tracks this right across. Not only does he track it across, he tracks it across and gets out on the top of the paint. Makes himself big in the net.
Look out. Little miscommunication there. Puck is still alive. Out in front. Great save by Hammond again. That one on Myers. Andrew Hammond is once again putting on a show here for Ottawa.
Well, I don't really think the plan was to play Andrew Hammond tonight. I think the plan was to play Anderson. Anderson joked around about it in Minnesota, asking the report, why would you play me? He's the hot hand, and I think maybe they just deflected to that again.
Here's Myers, throws it in. And finally they solve it. Michael Foley puts it in the back of the net. And the Jets are on the board.
Kyle Turris misses on a breakaway, and the Jets get life. This is a bank off the wall into the neutral zone, and watch Frolik, who starts to play in the neutral zone, is going to follow it right down the net, cut across, and a broken play that gets thrown into the slot by Myers ends up right onto the tape of Frolik, right across everybody. Carlson and Mathod are both playing Stepniak. Nobody has picked up, absolutely nobody has picked up Frolik. And the reaction on the Winnipeg bench, the Winnipeg Jets bench, easy for me to say, is here we go.
14th of the season for Frolik. It's now a 5-game point streak for him, and more importantly, his team's on the board. Here comes Ceci. Shields up, snaps for him. Ceci's in there. The puck goes out in front, and it's taken away by Jacob Trouba. Off the board for Blake Wheeler. Takes a look around, goes in the middle of the ice, and he's got Little. Little races in, curls back, looks for late help, and he's got it. Here's Trouba. Floats it into the middle, and that's broken up by Greening.
You say that 3 times.
I think you beat it to death, and I'm not going to go there.
Stick it with a fork, it's done.
Here's Condra now. Condra has it at his skates, and it goes into the corner for Enstrom. Pajot has the Sens trying to force the issue back down to this end. Look out. Here's Driver one. Shoots, and Pavlik makes the save and hangs on. And now it's Andre Pavlik's turn to hold his team in this game, because Michael Frolik has got the Jets winning 2. This week on Hockey Night in Canada, start your Saturday with Hockey Central Saturday at 6:30. Then it's the Blues and the Leafs on CBC, Jets and Predators on Sportsnet, Canadians and Coyotes on City, all followed by the Canucks and the Sharks on CBC, and the Penguins and the Kings on Sportsnet at 10. Visit sportsnet.ca/schedule for all the details. A shot by Carlson rings off the post. The Ottawa Senators, how many posts did they hit last night in Minnesota? A lot. And there's another one. And it stays a 2-goal game. Here's Stafford to center and in. Myers waits for it, gets it down low for Tlusty. And that is tipped up and out of play. The faceoff will stay inside the blue line.
The draw gets one clean to Erik Karlsson. He shifts the puck along the line a few feet maybe as he pulls this, and then it's off and up quickly. And it catches on the short side glove high, and the only thing that stops it is the post. Maybe just a couple of more inches to the inside.
Karlsson taps it in the dot, and the Senators send this one the length of the ice, and this is icing as Enstrom won the race there with Stone.
One of the things Stone gets criticized for is his skating. It was the one thing that they thought may hold him back when he first came into the league. I remember his first ever playoff game when he set up Jason Spezza on a nice goal, and we always knew he was a good passer. This is a guy that puts up numbers. I mean, you look at it through the course of this year, and he has put up numbers in the games that he's played in. 34 of the 59 games he's got a point in.
Here's Stempniak in behind the net for Foley. Back to Stempniak, and he couldn't get a clean shot away. Now Foley does, and he whistled that one just wide. Lowry tries to pull that one down, but it ends up with Turris, who scored the game's opening goal in the first period, his 16th of the season. Up ahead for Stempniak in his first game as a Jet. Puts it in there for Foley. Weirkosh around the boards. Ryan chips it out to the neutral zone. Pushed back in by Winnipeg, and they got to clear the zone. Here's Ryan picking his way in. Zibanejad tried a quick release, and now it's quickly turned back by Winnipeg. The defenseman Trouba leading the rush, trying to drop it off there for Wheeler. Now Ladd with a shot, and that's blocked right in front of him. Condra got in his way. Wheeler in behind the net. There's the captain up in front for Little, got a shot away. And Hammond, another great stop in tight. Back comes Tyler Myers. He'll rush it in. Here comes Myers. Going to go for a lap around. Centered it and sent down the length of the ice by Ottawa, where this will be icing against the Sens.
Well, Myers already set up a goal, and he's up the ice again. And for a big man, he skates extremely well. Great set of hands. Little gets a good opportunity because the Senators defenseman is not facing the puck at all. Watch the front of the net. The defenseman's going to turn around. He doesn't know where the puck is, where it's coming from. That's why you'd rather see him sideways, where he can get a good look at the puck and know where his guy is at the same time. Little gets a good shot away. Good save by Hammond.
Shot by Trouba, just misses glove side. Stewart along the near boards with Tlusty to Stafford. Stafford, couple of goals already for him as a Jet. One hand on the stick, curls back, and then leaves it for Tlusty. Tlusty to Trouba in front, and he missed Stafford's stick, which was tied up by Weirkosh, who's got the puck now. Poked down the ice by Legwand. Scheifele at center ice, right along the boards there. And it's Greiba. He'll just chop that one in on Pavlik. Drops it for Jacob Trouba. Trouba being watched again by Stone. Curls away from him and gets it up and heads it for Lacey. Hustles it after that loose puck, and now Turris with a chance to get it to center, and he does. Here's Myers again. Myers back to Enstrom. Enstrom up ahead to Lowry. Lee Stempniak trying to get away from Erik Karlsson. Up in the air, knocked down by Stone, but held by Frolik. Here's a lead puck to Spindek. A great glove save there on the reaction and the deflection right in front of Hammond. Keeps it out, and it's still 3-1. Back in Winnipeg, it's always great to have Scott Oake as our ringside host here in his hometown. He's the institution here. He's been covering sports here in this city for years.
He's older than dirt.
And now with a look at today in sport, here is Scott Oake.
Good evening. In sports tonight, Bobby Hull scores number 1,000 and Alberta wins the Brier. We'll get to the Brier shortly, but first, after being shut out for 3 games...
Oh, my God. You know what? When I see that, and you guys see that, you know why it is I've owned this town ever since then. But I guess beyond that, I'm wondering if I should have been cryogenically frozen back in 1978. and a third thing, how did I ever get a job?
I thought it was Chevy Chase on Saturday Night Live there for a second.
How about the lapels on that jacket? Smooth. Senators back in there, the jet zone. Enstrom back to get it, and there is Tyler Myers, the new guy in town. One of them goes across to Enstrom. Enstrom to the middle of the ice, and he's got Wheeler. Wheeler's got a step in, he shoots, and he fired it wide. Good chance there for Blake Wheeler. Now Ladd battling for the puck down low, taken away by Carlson. Lost his footing, quickly back up, and he scoops it out to center. And here is Zibanejad. Zibanejad second attempt, knocks that one off the side of the net, and it's picked up by Myers. Up ahead to Frolik, couldn't take that pass cleanly, and it ends up right back in the jet zone. Stempniak. To Frolik, angled off by Peugeot. And Weirkosh to McCulloch, off the boards. Sent back in by Milan McCulloch. And here is Jay Harrison now. Sees Peugeot coming, so he gets that puck away, and now to Lowry. Lowry can't get it past Lazar. They say that hit a member of the Jets on their bench, so the play is whistled down.
Paul Maurice without one of his defensemen and forward at the same time as he does a bit of both on occasion. On this play right here, somewhere along the wall, he hurts his shoulder or his elbow or his wrist or something. It is an upper body injury, and he goes to the locker room, and he did not return. He will not be returning. And the Jets are hoping this is not going to be anything long-term for Dustin Byfuglien. They've had plenty of injuries on the backside. There was a time when 5 of their top 6D were all out of the lineup. Guys like Postma and Pardy and Ben Sherratt were all in the lineup playing regularly and playing well. And that's when Byfuglien went back to help out. And this team really did stick together. And now they've added some players with Harrison and Myers have joined this group. And some of the guys that were a big part of that aren't in the lineup tonight, but they're going to be moving forward, as you always need D, it seems to be, to get where you want to go.
Dustin Byfuglien, who started the season, as you mentioned, as a forward, went to the All-Star game as a defenseman, has not missed a game yet this season. And there's concern, certainly, about his status going forward. 8 minutes to go here in Winnipeg tonight. Michael Frolik has scored the lone goal here in the third period for the Jets. The Ottawa Senators trying to wrap up a 5-game road trip with a 4th win. And go home for a little homestand. Look out, Stafford on his backhand, Stewart, it turns and can't shoot. Waited too long. Here's Talusti now in the corner. Digs it out for Enstrom. Enstrom back to Talusti. Out of the corner comes Little. He'll go up top for Myers. Myers, wrist shot into the high slot there. Here's Enstrom with the puck. And they just can't get the handle in there.
You want to be simple. You don't want to make things difficult for yourself. If you don't have a lane to pass in, use the boards, indirect plays to get yourself out of the zone. At this point in the game, under 10 minutes to go with a 2-goal lead, you do not want to be turning pucks over in your zone.
This one goes down the ice. Mathot to the foot race there with Wheeler. And there's Carlson. And knocked down with a high stick. 7 minutes to go here in the third period. If you're tuning in looking for the Montreal Canadiens in Anaheim to take on the Ducks, that is currently on Sportsnet 360. So you can tune in to that there right now.
Oh, there Gryba comes around around his net, and as he tries to make a play out of his own, he puts it right on the tape of the Winnipeg Jets, and the scramble was on, and I think he knows he's dodged a bit of a bullet there.
Shots are 33-20 in favor of the Jets. Shot attempts are even higher, 60-35, but Ottawa's been bending but not breaking, and of course, once again, Andrew Hammond has been a big part of the story tonight for the Sens. Here's Stempniak. Can't contain it, and it's pushed up the sideboard by Zibanejad. Now racing after it is Condra against Trouba, and he gets the puck away to Frolik. Michael Frolik. Eric Condra's had a strong game tonight, including a short-handed breakaway. They got 2 of them tonight. Trouba snaps it in and heads to the bench. Oh, it gets to a wholesale change.
I really like the way that Cameron's fourth lines played tonight. I think that line of Lazar and Pajot and Condra, you know, they came out and they've really taken the challenge of taking on that big fourth line from Winnipeg, and I think they've really kind of been the difference in this game. I don't think it's been the big guys. Yeah, they've got a couple of goals from Turris and Ryan, but Condra and Pajot and Lazar have been a thorn in Winnipeg every time they've been on the ice. They've been battling hard. Condra's, you know, been in on around a couple of goals and got one, so it's you know, that's what you want out of your fourth line.
Puck comes to center ice. What do you think has been the biggest difference under Dave Cameron in the last month or so?
The decision that he's gone to a younger, more quicker team. I mean, you don't see the older players in the lineup.
Look out, pocket push to Rusty with a shot, and Hammond makes the save as Carlson was stripped of the puck. Once again, the Hamburger has the answer, and the Senators have a 2-goal lead.
Welcome back to MTS Center. Check out the Senators' injury list. Zach Smith, Chris Neal, Chris Phillips, Clark MacArthur, Robin Lehner. All of them long-term. Phillips, back problems, been skating on his own. Neal's 3 to 4 weeks away. MacArthur, Lehner are dealing with concussions. You'd think losing so many veterans would be a disaster, and not so for the Sens, who are winning with younger players and call-ups. And of course, none's been more important than Andrew Hammond, who got his chance with both Craig Anderson and Lehner out. Gary's made the point the Sens have prospered with a younger lineup.
Out of the corner now as Wheeler turns and fires it across the goal mouth. Myers on the opposite side there against McCulloch. Here's Ladd. To Enstrom into traffic, hits a shin pad, and Turris chops it out to center.
You know, I also think when you look at a team that, you know, when they got together and this young group started to work at it, making the playoffs was a distant thing. They weren't even thinking about that. Now that they are starting to creep up a little bit, it'll be interesting to see how they play, and does it change their play moving forward, or they just continue to just keep playing the same way? Because now the expectation, as you creep a little bit closer, and a win tonight puts them 4 points. I mean, it's still a long way to go to get there, but they do play the Bruins twice. 3 games in hand on the other 2 teams that are ahead of them by a little bit.
Just under 5 minutes to play here. Jets trying to make something happen. There's Little with a blast again. A shot blocked by Ottawa. That one by Greening. And now Greening's going to race after this loose puck. Pavlik lowered his net. Shearsaw is hit from behind there by Ladd. And now Stewart with some time. Back inside the Ottawa blue line. For the Winnipeg Jets, it's the last of a 4-game homestand. They're 2-0-1 so far on it. They're steering at 4 on the road. Here's the Zibanejad now. Walks out and then fires it off the side of the net. Bobby Ryan wheels his way around, then puts it down low for Condra. Here's the Zibanejad. Scheifele is watching him. Mika Zibanejad. Back to Bobby Ryan. Ryan's got a goal tonight, and that one caroms right into the Winnipeg bench.
Dave Cameron rewarding Condra, getting him on that line for Mike Hoffman, who's, I think, is going to cut his ice time back with that injury. A nice rush up the ice by Greening, and good job by Pavlik to come out and clear that puck. And then Ladd comes in, and he takes down Chasson from behind. No call on the play. And he gives him another shot for good measure. He's just hard to play against, Ladd. That's why, you know, the guys in this team love him so much, and he earns everything he gets in this game.
Here comes Frolik with some speed to center ice. Chips it far side. Goes in after it. In there against Marcotte. Now to the corner is Lowry. Behind the nets, and it rolls out in front. Far enough for Hammond to grab it and hang on. Time now for our point of performance. Brought to you by Pennzoil tonight.
Well, it's no other than Andrew Hammond, and I think we talked about him a lot, and that's because he's made a lot of saves. I mean, 35 shots, 34 saves, and some are a spectacular variety. And he's done them every kind of way. He's done it with sprawling right leg saves. He's done one off his mask. A couple of big glove saves. I mean, he has been the difference in this hockey game for sure.
Up ahead for McCulloch, and that is offside at the Winnipeg blue line.
Well, you look at 7 career starts and the number of shots he's faced, 229 to be exact, and look at that save percentage. I mean, that's just unheard of for Andrew Hammond. And I know even if you asked him, he would tell you that he could never have imagined such a run in his first stint in the National Hockey League. But you don't ask why. You just keep going, and that's what he's doing. He's just taking every bit of this moment. And I have a hard time thinking how they do not play him in Buffalo. Whether Anderson's ready or not, I think you continue to run with this guy until it runs out, if it runs out.
Centering attempt never reached the front of the net, and once again Iowa skates it away. Here's Greening. Harrison back forward with 3 minutes to go here in the third period. Up ahead to Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki paid the price, but he dumps it in there. And Wiercott up from behind his own net. Ottawa's just trying to keep Winnipeg quiet after they got the goal from Frolik, and a couple of stops made by Hammond since, but for the most part, Winnipeg has been unable to build any momentum. Here's Condrup in towards the net, picked up by Wheeler and turned back. Here's Wheeler stepping in over the line. He's got Ladd going for the front of the net. Wheeler wraps it around, and it's swept aside and cleared right out of there by Zibanejad. Empty net. Pavlik's gone to the bench. Extra attacker is on with 2:20 to go. In behind the net, Wheeler works it up to Little. Little goes back to Myers. Myers with a shot, puts it on, and Hammond's got it, and he hangs on one more time.
Myers has been a threat this whole third period. He set up Frolik on the goal. He's made a couple of nice rushes. He's got a couple of pucks through to the net. When they picked up this guy from Buffalo, it's a guy that had his ups and downs certainly there, but he's taken this chance here in Winnipeg to step in here and get back to his game. A nice little double deflection there. It's converted from left. He knocks it down into the ice. Hammond had to follow that down and make the save and have no rebounds there at all.
He's really tracked the puck well tonight. He's made these spectacular saves that you have talked about, but he's made a lot of tricky stops in tight. Might have to make it 2 more here. Under 2 minutes to go. Here's Wheeler. Wheeler centers it over to Scheifele, moves it back to Trouba. Back to Mark Scheifele. Scheifele shot in front. That was Wheeler. Backhander. And Hammond got chested up, and then it's cleared by Carlson. As the puck goes into the netting, and the face-off is coming outside the blue line.
There's been a couple of opportunities tonight. Go back to the first period. Mark Borowiecki stepped into one right in front of the net. We saw a couple of defensemen block some pucks. And here it's going to be Erik Karlsson who's going to pull this one off the goal line. It hits a stick, which kind of sends it askew, and it ends up being a favorable bounce for Wheeler, who gets it and tries to backhand it far side. Good positioning by Karlsson off to the right of his goaltender, is able to take that puck and clear it out of harm's way. Pavlik will come back into the net here, and they'll take him as soon as they can get possession and get into the Senator zone.
Reminder, Montreal-Anaheim is on Sportsnet 360 right now. Minute and a half to go in this one to finish up the story here in Winnipeg. Game 1 of our Wednesday night doubleheader. We're going to have another face-off coming up here.
Well, the argument is going to be, where is it going? Winnipeg's pointing inside. Senators are pointing outside. It looks like the face-off is going to be outside, as the puck went straight out off a Winnipeg stick. Referee trying to get a handle on the line changes, get the Winnipeg Jets players onto the ice quickly. Senators are like, come on, drop this puck, let's go. Less rest for them, the better.
And that one goes right into the area right between the benches, into the camera bay there. Another stoppage, 1:27 to go now.
And Pavlik will make his way back out onto the ice. He'll try this thing all over again.
Jets control the drive. Trouba skates it up. Pavlik heads to the bench, and there's the extra attacker. In deep is Jacob Trouba now. Centers it back for Little. Little goes up top for Wheeler. Wheeler to Little. Touched into the corner and skated out by Tyler Myers. Here's Myers now. Walk on the line. Myers. Wide side is Trouba. Can't center it, and again it goes up and out of play. And that face-off will be to the left of Hammond.
You want to protect the house. If you're the Ottawa Senators, it's a box +1. You want to make sure you're protecting the inside of the box, not the outside of it. If they want to have the perimeter play, take it around the outside, that's good and fine. What you don't want to do is let blue sweaters inside the white in the slot area. Senators do a pretty good job there as the timeout will be called. And the plan will try to be drawn up, one that will hopefully get them a goal very quickly. They don't have a lot of time. You need 2 goals. And the Senators will try to continue to stymie the Winnipeg Jets. It's been a tough night for Winnipeg, who got off to a great start, had a outshooting the Senators by quite a large margin. And it was Andrew Hammond that held the fort, and then the Senators got themselves back going again and scored a couple of goals. And the Winnipeg Jets have tried in this third period to get going, but they just have not been able to get more than the one by Frolik.
This week on Hockey Night in Canada, start your Saturday with Hockey Central Saturday at 6:30 Eastern. Then Blues, Leafs, CBC, Jets, Predators on Sportsnet, Habs, Coyotes on City, all followed by Canucks and Sharks on CBC at 10, and the Penguins, Kings as well. Sportsnet.ca/schedule has all the details. 1:05 to go. Another face-off deep in the Ottawa zone, and it is pulled back by Winnipeg. McCullough towards the empty net, misses it. And it's icing.
That's a different kind of call on the icing, as the puck is coming diagonally across the ice, and the inside tracker is Mark Stone. And to me, he has the first dibs on the puck. But as the puck comes around the wall, it's the outside player the linesman called it on, which was Myers, and that is an icing all the way back down to the left of Hammond.
Gets control off the draw. There's Wheeler, goes back to Trouba. His wrist shot goes off a body and up and over the net. And the Senators chop this one down the ice, and icing waved off, so Myers gets back there with 40 seconds to go. Trouba near side for Little. Little has to hustle, and he pokes it past Carlson. Carlson held it up just enough. Turris and Scheifele battle for the puck along the boards. This one goes right back down the ice, and this will be icing. 23.7 seconds to go. Reminder, right after this, we're going to take you to Anaheim for the Canadiens and the Ducks here on Sportsnet.
What a gutsy road trip by the Ottawa Senators. As you know, the Winnipeg Jets, you got to give them their kudos. They've been a great team up to this point, and they're a team that, to me, I think will make the playoffs. They're a strong enough team. They built at the trade deadline. But the Ottawa Senators right now, man, oh man, have they played well on this trip.
Good face-off win. Myers with a shot, and that is deflected past the far post and out. Dying seconds out. Here's Wheeler. Battling for it in the corner. Gets it to Little. Little back to the line for Myers on his backhand. Into the corner it goes, and now with one more chance to clear it, it is sent down. And we're going to have one more icing call with 1.4 on the clock. And it looks like you can put this one in the books for the Ottawa Senators. Their best stretch of hockey, certainly all season and in a long time.
Mark Stone's just mad at himself, that empty net, but they have swept this road trip, and if they were ever going to climb back into the playoff race, yes, this is what this kind of road trip had to happen, and it fell into place for them, short of 1 point in Minnesota last night, which they were so close to getting. A real solid road trip.
4-0-1. Ottawa, they're coming home, and they're coming home hot. The Senators are staying alive in the playoff race, picking up 2 more points here in Winnipeg with a very convincing 3-1 win And the 3 stars are topped by none other than one of the best stories in the league right now. Andrew Hammond stopping 35 of 36, gets the win again. Eric Condra has a goal tonight. And Tyler Myers in the losing cause gets star number 3 tonight at the MTS Center. Now let's take you live to Anaheim. The Canadians and the Ducks, Jim Houston and Craig Simpson are there for you.